Let's have a look at some of the basic screens that come with your Optimus Plus sound level meter. So first of all, the first screen I want to mention is the sound level view. This is usually the screen that comes up when you first power on your Optimus Plus. The sound level view screen is basically just showing you the sound pressure level in the area where you're currently sat. I'm sat here talking and I've got a number there which is around about 70 decibels. The green bar on the left hand side is a graphical representation of this number. We're not measuring at the moment, so we're just going to go through the different screens that you'll have on your sound level meter before we start measuring. Those screens are always going to be there, and you can actually go through them just by pressing the left or the right arrows, and it'll just wrap around in a circle. Just keep going and you'll see all the different screens. So this is the sound level view. You'll also notice that underneath that large number there are some smaller letters. It says LAF dB. So this is telling you it's a decibel level, it's a sound level because there's a big L there, it's A-weighted with a fast time constant. So this is just showing me the A-weighted decibel level instantaneously. Let's have a look at the next screen. I'm pressing the right hand arrow and it's taking me to the LEQ view. Remember, I'm not measuring at the moment, it's just showing you what's going on. LEQ is basically a logarithmic average of the noise levels, and that large number at the top has got some slightly different lettering underneath. LAEQ 1S dB, a decibel level, sound level of course, A-weighted, and it's the 1 second logarithmic average of the noise level. So it's not changing quite as fast as the previous screen. Again, we have a bar down the left hand side which is showing us what the instantaneous noise level is doing, and we also have a small graph. That's just showing you what the level's been over the last couple of minutes while the instrument has been switched on. The solid line is the 1 second average noise level, the LAEQ1S, and the small dots are something called peaks. They're C-weighted peaks, and it's very important when you're doing occupational noise measurements. So it just gives you a little bit of a history. Now, one thing you might notice if you look at the screen is that graph is mainly green, but there's a couple of yellows there. Now what happens is these meters are set so that they will change the colour of the graph and change the colour of that bar when the noise level goes above certain preset levels that are already set in the meter. You can change them, but we've set them for you. Basically, if the noise level goes above 80 decibels, it'll turn yellow. If it goes above 85 decibels, it'll turn red. So I'm going to attempt this now. Let's have a look. So if I whistle, you'll see that went yellow. If I tried it even louder, it instantaneously goes red. So if you were using this and walking around, just seeing what the general noise levels were in any area, you could just look at that graph and it'll tell you whether you've got any dangerous noise levels or not. So that's the LEQ view screen. Let's go to the right again. This one's the octave band screen. So we've split the frequency components of the noise into 10 individual frequency bands, going from low frequencies on the left to higher frequencies on the right. And as you can see, as I'm talking, you'll see the different frequencies of the noise. Again, if I whistle, you can tell that I like whistling. You can see where that whistle comes in. It's just, the frequency was just about 2 kilohertz, something like that. So that's showing you the frequency levels in the noise while we're speaking. Let's go to the right again. We have a dose view. This is going to calculate for you the occupational dose while you're measuring. There's no real numbers on there at the moment because, as I've said, we're not measuring at the moment. We have a very specialized screen next, which is the vehicle noise view, and if you're using vehicle noise, there'll be a separate video on that, but we'll just skip past that one for now. And then finally, on this particular meter, we have a general view screen, and this is telling us information about our instrument. I've got no measurement stored at the moment, that's 0 because I've not used it yet. I've got plenty of time history. So on the Optimus Plus we've got 81 days we can store data for continuous measurements. It's a huge capacity. And we've also got a small amount of audio in here. Depending on the meter that you have, you can actually, if it's an environmental Optimus Plus, you can store actual audio. But even if it's just an industrial meter, you can actually store your voice at the start of every measurement. So we have some capacity for that. It's showing me the last time it was calibrated, etc, etc. And if I go to the right again, I'm back at the first screen. Now all of these screens, you'll notice at the very bottom it says 1 of 3 or 1 of 4, something like that. So there are a number of different variations of this particular number that you can look at. I won't go through them all, but on this particular one, I'll just show you how it works. So we've got the sound level view. You can see that the small lettering is saying LAF, so it's an A-weighted number. If I use the down arrow, I'm now on page 2 of 3. And that number is now the C-weighted instantaneous sound pressure level. If I go down again, I'm now on page 3 of 3, and now it's the Z-weighted or 0-weighted sound pressure level. If I go down again, I'm back up to page 1. So as you go through each of these particular screens, you'll see, in this case, for the LEQ view, remember this is the logarithmic average, I've got 3 pages. If I go down, page 2 gives me the C-weighted instantaneous or 1 second average. If I go down again, Z-weighted. I'll go down again, I'm back up to page 1. Let's have a quick look at the octave band view, the frequency band view. I've got 4 options here. If I go down, I can see this is the A-weighted frequency values that you can see on the screen. If I go down again, I can see the frequency graph. It's not a graph anymore, it's actually in numbers. And I go down to page 4, I can see the A-weighted numbers for that frequency range. If I go down again, I'm back up to page 1. So you've got quite a few screens on every meter. Depending on the model of meter that you've purchased, these screens may be slightly different. But if I go back to these first 2 screens, every meter that you have on the Optimus range will always have a sound level view and an LEQ view. You may have more screens, you may have less, and some of the other videos will cover these in a little bit more detail.